Stand Up Diaries with Michelle Christine.
Hello and welcome to Stand Up Diaries, entry 175. My goodness gracious, getting close to 200. And this one is I'm at the Phillip Island MotoGP. I can't believe I'm actually saying that. I'm in this really cool house right now. Staying here for the weekend. I even have, where is it here? Oh, I thought I brought it with me. Oh, I did. These are my tickets to the 3-day event. Right now it's piss pouring rain outside, but that's all right. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I will be heading there shortly. And what has happened? I was in Melbourne and now I'm in Phillip Island, which is actually not that far away from Melbourne. But in the meantime, I have done a lot. So I had a full house every night at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, and I did follow that up by a full house every night at the Melbourne Fringe Festival, dressed up in my Mountie costume, hustling, had an absolutely great time. And then I brought one big suitcase and one little kind of checked baggage thing with me when I was coming to Melbourne. I didn't take two. You can take two big suitcases with Qantas if you're coming from North America, but one had to be for Dean when he comes. And so I decided I'm just going to put all of my motorcycle gear into that luggage, my helmet, my boots, that sort of thing, camping gear. And then in my little bag, I just put underwear, socks, a few shirts, and a couple pairs of jeans. Just hoping that I would end up riding a motorcycle in Australia. And it did end up happening. After the Fringe Festival was over, there was an F700 GS that was available that I could get, and I took that all along the east coast of Australia. So I started off in Melbourne, then I booked a show and did a show in Canberra. I took the long way round because I just love that whole theory of don't rush to get places, go a beautiful way. Then I took it to Sydney, did a show. Then I took it to Brisbane and did a show. And then I went as north as 1770, where John Cook landed in 1770. May not have been the greatest for everyone in Australia at the time, but it's a part of history. That's where he landed. I saw a beautiful sunset and then had to head back. Went to a place called Kilkivan or Kilkivan. I don't know exactly how you pronounce it. Did a show there. For a bunch of motorcycle enthusiasts, and that was super fun. Kind of camped more kind of out in the country and went for a ride with one of the guys, and that was super fun. And actually, when I was in Bundaberg, so I was on my way to 1770 before I turned around, I wanted to go snorkeling, but the weather just wasn't right. It was too windy, so I had gone all the way up there and couldn't do what I wanted to do. So I posted something on Facebook for like adventure riders in Queensland, and there's this one guy that's like, yeah, Friday after work, meet me and we'll go. It rained a lot, but we decided to head out in the opposite direction of the rain, which was on the way to Kilkivan, where I needed to end up, and it was on the way to his house. So he took me along some gravel roads, some dirt roads, a few like kind of little trails, so that my bike got a bit dirty with dirt, and that always makes me happy. And so that was super fun. But when I first took the bike, okay, so it was this, I think the second day of riding the bike, I went through, it was a Tuesday, and I went through a horrible rain episode, I guess you could call it. I had taken a wrong turn, so I was going up the B500 and I was supposed to take it to the C620 and go along the coast and then up to Canberra. But my phone and the GPS, it was always dying. You don't get a signal out in the boonies. And so I kept going up the B500 instead of across the coast. So then the rain started getting worse and worse and worse. And then the rain started to get harder. And then I noticed around me there was snow everywhere. And then I noticed that the rain had turned into snow and was starting to cake on my visor, and I'm freezing my butt off, freezing. I'm wearing a nice BMW like coat up top that was like so waterproof, but my pants, there wasn't a size that fit me, so I was just wearing kind of like a thin waterproof, water resistant layer over my jeans. So I was completely soaked to the bone from the waist down. And I didn't know how much higher I was gonna go. Like I'd never been up this road before. Was it gonna get to an epic snowstorm? What was gonna happen? I'm in this fully loaded GS with panniers and tank bay and everything. Thankfully, I get to the top and start going down. And there was like snow around me, but I found good like kind of tracks through it. And then as I went down, there was like the most serenity I ever felt. Like I was so peaceful. The rain had stopped. I was going through a beautiful rainforest, beautiful twisty roads, no one on the road. And then as I come to the end of it, I see that the road in front of me is flooded. There's a creek that's like raging beside me, and there's just this water that's flowing, that's flooded the road, and cars are stopped. Not a ton of them, but a couple of them are stopped waiting. And I'm like, okay, well, perfect. I'm not going to turn around and go back through this snowstorm. There's really nowhere to pitch a tent. Well, I guess you could try to maybe climb to one and abandon the bike, but I was like, no. I'm going to wait this out. And so I waited out, and then after an hour goes by, one car goes through, doesn't move an inch. A woman rolls up her pant legs, walks through, and then I was like, okay, it's time. Get on the foot pegs, barrel through that thing, going maybe in second gear. Water sprays everywhere, but I make it and everything's fine. And I go through definitely a few more big, like kind of like you can't see anything puddles on my way. And then I ended up in a place called Wodonga, met somebody at a McDonald's. There was actually a motorcycle meeting happening there in Wodonga, and this guy was like, hey, yeah, you know, you're soaked to the bone. Go to my house. Here's my keys. I'll be home in an hour. My wife will be home in 2 hours, and just have a hot shower. So he just gave me the keys to his house. Went and had a hot shower. He came home. We had some food. His wife was like super nice, gave me some pajamas. He gave me better water-proof pants and sent me on the way in the morning after some breakfast. So they were absolutely phenomenal. And then I stayed with some Redditors in Canberra, posted on their subreddit being like, hey, I need a couch. Can anyone help me out? Tons of people replied. Stayed with a nice married couple who did like a car tour of Canberra with me, which was super awesome. And then after Canberra, I was in Sydney, again, stayed with some Redditors there, and then him and his girlfriend came to the show, and the show in Sydney went super, super well. Probably one of my best like audience energies versus my energy. We just really gelled, and it was just a fantastic show. And then the next day, one of the Redditors who had come he rode like a multi-strada, like a Ducati, and him and I rode kind of a bit of the distance to Brisbane, because that was where my next show was going to be. And then he turned around, and then I kept going, so that was super fun just to kind of ride with some people along the way. And then in Brisbane, Dean's sister-in-law Amy lives, so I stayed with her for a couple of days, and then did the show in Brisbane. Nice full house, worked really hard. The guy who ran the venue also worked really hard. We both flyered, and he said, you know, well, everyone that sends me posters for their events, yours was like the most professional, so that felt good. And then he wanted me to sign a poster that he printed off that he's going to put on the wall of the venue, which is amazing. So hopefully it doesn't go under, and I can see it in 10 years and be like, ah! And then, yes, and then that's when I decided to go to Bundaberg to maybe go snorkeling, because it was just north 4 hours from Brisbane. But yeah, the weather didn't play nice, but I did go on a fun adventure ride with someone from Facebook. Then it was pretty close to Kilcaven, where I performed for the motorcycle enthusiasts and had a great time and went on a ride with that guy. And then I started my return because I had to get to Bairnsdale to do a comedy show at the Barry Sheen tribute dinner. So Barry Sheen's a great motorcycle racer from England, moved to Australia, got into commentating a little bit, but passed away of cancer in his early 50s. So they had a nice tribute dinner, raised some money for cancer research. And so on my way there, I also stopped in a place called Coma. I think it's Coma. And it was so windy, it was so windy. And I was at a service station, a servo, as they call them here. They don't know really, no one calls it gas here or gas station. So it's either service station or servo. They put O's on everything, like avocado, avo, Rego, registration. Anyway, so, and then the guy was like, hey, do you, like, it's really windy, this guy that I met at the gas station. And I was like, well, do you have a couch? And so he's like, well, actually, I live close by. I ride back with him, and he has like a nice little apartment on this 10-acre property. His parents live in a house on the property as well, and they're super nice. The mom's like super Polish and like super interesting, and we talked a lot about like her life back in Poland before she moved and going back and all these memories and how it's hard sometimes to go back to places and things haven't gone well for the people that you left behind. And then the dad was super fun, like this historian of Australia, told me a lot of the history of Australia, gave me a little souvenir. We exchanged emails. And yeah, it was just super fun staying with that family. They fed me, gave me breakfast. I stayed in a bed in their house. So I've had so much ridiculous hospitality here. But when you're a girl traveling solo on a motorcycle, people are, I don't know, I think they're like, heck yeah, like you go. So I've really enjoyed having this motorcycle. And now I did the Barry Sheen ride out to Phillip Island where the MotoGP is, which is really exciting. I have my tickets to the MotoGP, yeah. So I'm very excited about that. And then I'm just gonna leave shortly to get to the racetrack. And we did a lap of the racetrack at the end of the ride out, which was amazing, just to kind of see exactly what they see. And there's a beautiful view of kind of the water and like a little, you know, outlet or inlet or whatever it's called. But of course these racers aren't going to be paying attention to that. They're going to be paying attention to like driving as fast as they can and not killing themselves. So yeah, I'm very excited for all the race festivities. And it's just been a whirlwind past little while. I'm glad I've been able to make a diary here in this cool place that I'm staying, because the MC at the tribute dinner was a cool guy. And then he's like, yeah, I'm staying in this house with a few people at work, kind of, you know, in conjunction with the MotoGP stuff. And I'm just, you know, crashing on the couch for the weekend. And seeing as it's rainy and windy out right now, I'm very happy that all my stuff is inside and dry. So yeah. I'm sure there will be more to report soon. Dean comes soon, which is really exciting. A couple weeks still, but if you're away for 2.5 months, a couple weeks doesn't seem like too long. And I did yesterday have some free time after I got here, and I went to a zoo and I saw koalas for the first time, kind of at the zoo, of course, but and then I also fed some kangaroos, saw some dingoes, some Tasmanian devils. So that was kind of nice just to be a bit of a tourist, because I haven't really had that many opportunities to kind of just park somewhere and actually explore a lot and do things like that, because it has been quite a go, but I've definitely ridden some amazing roads here in Australia. It's an absolutely gorgeous place, and sometimes on the bike, when everything's right, the wind's not too strong, the sun's nice, it's a warm day, and the scenery's beautiful, I just have a lot of those zen moments where I'm humming the Jurassic Park, like so I just hum Jurassic Park, and that's when I know I'm in a good mood, so I start humming it. And you have to just appreciate those happy moments, because happiness is fleeting, but it also always comes back usually, you know. So there's times where you'll have that hour of perfect riding, and then the next hour the sun moves up and it's just pinging you right in the eye and you're like, ugh! Or then you'll have another hour where everything just is real serene and beautiful, but then the next hour it drops and you're like freezing. So some moments are fantastic, some moments aren't, some moments you're riding through snow, but the whole part of adventure riding is you go through rain or shine, like you keep going, because I have a lot of places I have to be at certain times, and there's a bit of wiggle room. So say like when it was windy in Kuma, well, I was only going to go to Bombala, which was about an hour away, so stopping there wasn't too big of a deal, and I had a place to stay. So I kind of like that my itinerary, there's certain anchor points I need to make, but it's loose in between, and I can kind of go with the wind a little bit. So I've really been enjoying this adventure, and I really can't wait to plan another one. And it was on the news yesterday, the Win Channel 8 news, because they were following kind of the Barry Sheen ride out story, and kind of saw that I was this girl riding a bike, told them a little bit about this Eastern comedy tour that I'd been on, and we did an interview, and I was too busy to watch it yesterday, but I'm sure some people did, and so that feels kind of good as well. So it's nice. Anyways, this has been your next edition of Stand Up Diaries. It's probably been long, but I had a lot to say. I have been Michelle Christine.